The Empire of Sin. My first impression. Call it a mini review. What is the game? A lot of people will say how it's XCOM. Bad version of XCOM. Although it has XCOM combat mechanics, it's only 20% like XCOM. 80% of this game comes out from the game that's over 25 years old. And that game is called Gangsters. Gangsters 1 and 2. So, this game, the original game, the Empire of Sin, it comes out from Romero. Romero that made Doom 1 and 2, one of the best devs in the world. And the most famous, top 5 for sure. But, as Doom got outdated, and all of those old games got outdated, Romero got outdated too. He's old and he doesn't know what he's doing. So he decides to copy-paste a game that he also probably played during 90s called Gangsters 2. I spent a lot of time playing Gangsters 2 when I was a kid. And Empire of Sin is actually 80% Gangsters 2 and only 20% XCOM. Why? Because they were selling the game as XCOM-like, which is not. It's like this, like Gangsters 2. Now, what you do in Gangsters 2, the same things you do in the Empire of Sin. Okay. It is a tricky game, but that's how it is. So what you do in the Empire of Sin, you got a full map of Chicago, like this. And if you pick to play as Capone, you start in Little Italy. If you pick to play as some other mob boss, you start in a different district. And then you conquer the districts. And your empire grows. Money, booze, brothels, everything that was in exactly 100 years ago. This is 1920. Okay, Prohibition area in the USA. Extremely fun time to put a game in, but the different topic is how it actually works. Now, in Gangsters, it worked because there was no XCOM-like combat. Here, XCOM-like combat destroys the game. If you're gonna make a game like this, you make it exactly the same like Gangsters 2. Alright. Now, everything that you could do in Gangsters 2, you can do here. By upgrading your buildings, where you take over, you easily put where is my, just to find it now, I got lost, there's way too many. What you conquered, you can upgrade and raise income through alcohol and through security. You can bribe cops, you can make deals with other mob gangsters, okay, with other mob bosses. Like exactly everything the same like in Gangsters 2, Gangsters 1 and 2. And you conquer territories. You attack the outpost, you attack the second outpost, then you attack the storehouse, and you take the district out. Okay, now what's new from the XCOM-like genre, aside from copy-paste rip-off combat? Okay, it's the leveling system, traits, perks, and all of that feels mobile-like because it takes time to pass in order to upgrade a certain skill. And you can only upgrade a certain skill when you score enough kills with a specific weapon type. And from the weapon types, you got handguns, melee weapons, shotguns, submachine guns, machine guns. classics from 1920s. The idea behind the game is absolutely great. This is not a disaster game like everyone says there is. It's mediocre. More mediocre towards bad than mediocre towards good. Now what's bad? It's 1920s. They got way too many women as gangsters. In reality, that never happened, okay? 100 years ago, women did not even exist in this environment, okay? With mobsters, there's a lot of women, which is a complete crap. And that's a Hollywood-like narration that I wasn't expecting from Romero, but it happened. That's the first thing that's absolutely disgusting. The second thing would be the lack of tutorials. Tutorials are just... I can't say they're broken. The game throws all of this info in your face in the first 30 minutes. Instead of teaching you progression. Okay, one by one, take over something, then explain what it does, then take a brewery, then take a brothel, then explain what it does, then one combat with a mob boss, then explain what it does. No. In the first hour, the game throws everything in your face, and if you know how to play, you know. If not, you can uninstall, right? And that's why the reviews for the game were a complete disaster. Because it's hard to learn, but basically it's not a hard game if you played Gangsters. Especially if you played both Gangsters and XCOM. It has stupid concepts where time passes, you get bombarded with quests, and if you don't pay attention to stop the time here, non-stop, you're doomed. Because other mob bosses, they also move on a map, okay? And you need to play accordingly if you want to occupy territory. Now let's go with basic stuff. Story. It has that mob feeling about it, okay? Depends what mob boss you play with. I picked Capone, of course, to test it out. But the writing is bad. The writing is bad. Aside from that, I got nothing else to say about the story. Classic mobster environment in Chicago 100 years ago during Prohibition. I like the atmosphere of the game, but writing is just straight up bad. As far as how the game works, here we go. During combat, there are broken animations. Delayed animations, broken animations. Very broken game. Awful saving system, awful loading system. Performance is good though. As far as game time goes, you can easily say that this game is a roguelite, which means it has huge replay value. If you're crazy enough to play with every mob boss, there's like 10, 15 of them, and the main goal is to conquer the entire Chicago. Okay, this needs to be in your color only. You need to be the one with most alcohol, with the most cash. You need to bribe all the cops, all the judges, all the mob bosses, or kill them, and blah 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 blah. So game time is debatable here. It's probably huge for maniacs. I don't intend to play this game because I already know what it's about. I already played the same game called Gangsters 2, and that was over 20 to 25 years ago. And to be honest, I also believe that Gangsters 2 is better because it doesn't have XCOM-like combat that just drags this game. I mean, it drags time, it wastes your time. There is no need for a turn-based combat if you're gonna make a game like this. Because the main thing here is how you manage everything. Okay. basically your soldiers, your lieutenants, your crew, your buildings. That's the main thing, not the combat. Difficulty, there are 5 difficulties to pick from, and difficulty is similar like in XCOM, even worse on the hardest difficulty. It's miss, 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 miss. Out of balance game, completely out of balance. Not innovative at all. Even though they tried to be innovative, it's not. As far as maps and graphics go, UI is great, crystal clear, but it has so much info that it's just freaking unreal, especially for people that want to play something like this for the first time. They're gonna get overwhelmed. I literally overwhelmed with the game because there's a lot of things to pay attention to, not to mention you need to pay attention on time, non-stop. And it's not a joke, especially on the hardest difficulty. Now, maps are great, a lot of options for zoom in, zoom out, how everything looks like. You can expect more for an isometric game, okay, especially a game like this with limited resources. It looks solid, nothing special. Face animations are just atrocious, by the way, during sit downs, during cinematics and so on. They're just atrocious. Could have been better. But as far as Chicago goes, it looks nice. It looks nice for an isometric game. Gameplay, as I said, even though they're gonna sell this game as an XCOM-like, has nothing to do with XCOM. Like literally nothing, 20% maybe, and that's only because of the combat and Overwatch mechanics, half cover, full cover. Turn-based isometric combat that you can skip, by the way. If you're strong enough, you can auto-resolve every battle. The main difficulty lies into how you manage everything on the map, how fast you can conquer, how fast you can negotiate, and how fast you can advance, basically. And this is your advancement: booze and money. Okay. And every building that you can upgrade here has its own income, it has its own protection, you can deflect raids from cops, you can bribe cops. Gameplay is actually fine, it's a good idea, but how it's executed, how it teaches the player to play, that's bad. Again, it throws everything in your face. It's way too freaking much to pay attention on everything, and the time factor just destroys the game because you need to stop it non-stop. If you wanna advance, if you wanna plan ahead. So it's more like a real-time strategy than the actual XCOM-like. The only thing why they say it's XCOM-like, it's because they need a tag to sell the game. Because no one will sell the game if they say it's like Gangsters 2. Because, let's be real, how many people played Gangsters 2? People that played Gangsters 2 are of my age, and they're even older than me by 10, 15 years. Those people are now in their 50s, and they probably don't even play games anymore. And people that play games right now, they don't know what's Gangsters. But trust me, that game is better than the Empire of Sin. Because it only does one thing: real-time strategy. Managing mafia. Capturing territories. While this one adds an XCOM factor into it and breaks the game completely with balance. It feels more like it's a game for mobiles with stupid microtransactions. It doesn't have any microtransactions, but that's how it looks and that's how it feels like. Like a game for a tablet. The next thing would be leveling and itemization. I already was speaking about it a bit. You can hire mobsters. You can advance mobsters into lieutenants, into underboss, into advisor. They come with their different perks, with their different quirks, with their different abilities for the XCOM-like combat, and with passive abilities for the real-time strategy part. There are missions, main missions, side missions, but basically the ultimate goal of this game is very simple. You conquer with one mob boss that you pick from the start, the entire Chicago. Then you finish, you start as another mob boss to conquer the entire Chicago. That's the ultimate objective. Conquer the city. And everything revolves around how you manage your resources. There's a lot of things to do for this part, leveling and itemization. Okay, you need to pay attention on items, on consumables, on your daily, weekly net income, on your booze, on bribing, on I don't know what. Okay, on how enemies move. Will they attack your storehouse? Will they raid you? You need to pay attention on a lot of different things. Then you can trigger diplomacy, okay? You can trade with different mob bosses. You can attack them. You can offer business arrangements. You can negotiate to assassinate someone. You can offer money to assassinate someone. They can offer money for you to assassinate someone. Everything that you can expect out of 1920s during Prohibition time is in the game. Those that like that environment will probably like the game too. Especially those that like real-time strategies. Leveling and itemization part is the huge part of this game and how you manage your resources. As far as NPCs and enemies go, from enemies only humans, mobsters, the more you move, they get harder, bigger HP, better weapons. Same goes for yours. Bigger HP, more skills, better weapons. You can call it a realistic game. No freaking monsters, magic, and so on. Okay, realistic game. As realistic it can be, this is it. Okay. Like Expeditions Rome was realistic for a Roman Empire. As a video game, this one is as realistic for the Prohibition time in the USA, in Chicago. Music and sound. Music is great. I love the music. Around 50-60% of the game is voice acted. Voice acted is solid. Sound effects are solid also. And now, is it below mediocre or above mediocre? Gangsters like XCOM like game, Empire of Sin. That's a good question. Because I can't divide if it's bad or good. I would say it's straight up fucking mediocre. And it's not worth playing. Especially it's not worth buying. And I believe the full price for this one, I'm playing it on a Game Pass, testing it out on a Game Pass. Let's see how much it is. 40, 50 deluxe edition, 70. $70 for a premium edition. Holy shit, Romero. Don't get me wrong, the man created Doom 1 and 2. He's the mastermind, but he got outdated. He's a bit insane. The fuck, Romero? What were you thinking? 70 bucks for premium edition for this game, man. More like $7 for premium edition, and it needs to work on a mobile or on a Steam Deck so people can play it outside of their PC. 70 bucks. 40 bucks base game. Let's see what people say about the game. I'm kinda curious. I explained how I see the game. Let's see what others think. Repetitive, absolutely not innovative in any way. Don't waste your money. It's fun, it's not worth 40. Game with potential can become repetitive, yeah. Because you never play Gangsters. The game was abandoned by devs, which I can tell by those broken animations. Took the money and ran away. Oh, maybe Romero is smart. Let me make a game on my name, people will buy, and I'm gonna chill out somewhere. God damn it, what you made, man. After, like, a person that created Doom 1 and 2 to create something like this is pissing in his own face, man. No one, absolutely no one recognized that this game is a ripoff of Gangsters. And I know why Romero made this game, because he was playing Gangsters in 90s. No one! An XCOM with a mafia team. No, it's not. What I wanted, Mobster XCOM. What I got, Mobster XCOM Chimera Squad. No, man, you got Gangsters. You got Gangsters with 20% XCOM. People just don't get it. This is not XCOM. It just sells like, look at this XCOM everywhere. XCOM, XCOM, XCOM. How can you say it's XCOM? Everyone just speaks about the XCOM. People are just... Okay, I'm not even expecting for younger people to know about Gangsters. So they call it XCOM because they've seen that combat is a ripoff of XCOM. But combat is not the main part of the game, it's 20% of the game. Combat. 80% is how you manage stuff. I would say it had potential, it failed. It hit the ground like a freaking nuke, man. And I'm still undecided whether it's under, mediocre, or above. Probably under. Okay, if I had to rate the game right now, it would end up on from 4 to 5 out of 10. 4.5 out of 10, eh? Let's say. If I had to rate it now. It's just a failure. Complete failure.